shot I got. Kevin, I'm glad to have you here. Let's give him a warm Kiwanis welcome.
Thank you. Man, that was an upchuck, wasn't it? My goodness. I've been called a lot of things, Chuck, but actually Mayor Davis and I were texting just here at the other table. He did have a obligation in Nashville with the 911 board, and we very much need that funding. People don't have, maybe some people, but not many people have landlines anymore. And that's how the 911 funding is appropriated, is through our landlines on the phones. And even though we all have cell phones, some of us have two, that's the way that everybody communicates now, and the 911 funding just has not caught up. So I'm thankful that our Mayor Davis, our county mayor, is on the state 911 board and can fight to get that funding more equally distributed throughout Tennessee. So when we call and dial 911, somebody will answer. It's a very important thing that he's doing today. So I'm very grateful that my friends in the Kiwanis Club allowed Gary and I to switch dates. I agree, Chuck. I think he just wanted to go first. That's okay, because all of the city is in the county. I'm very thankful. And we've got so many great things, great updates to talk about. I'm actually very fortunate. I got to thank the city team that's here today that makes all these presentations and PowerPoints and talking points possible. I'm thankful that WCLE is here today so my mom can watch. I know that's what she's doing today. And I'm thankful that that we live in such a great city that we can live and raise a family and work and do so well for so long. Cleveland is actually just at the precipice of such great growth. There's no one in this room that has not been noticing, affected by, sometimes slowed down by, depending upon which side of town you live on, the great growth that is experiencing all over our city. And I'm so glad, Chuck, that you introduced Miltine Cartwright. If it were not for her husband, Eddie, who could not be here today, I wouldn't be mayor of Cleveland, Tennessee. And so I'm always grateful when any member of the Cartwright family can join us. And she is a very special guest indeed. I can't begin to talk about how great Cleveland is doing without going back and saying, if it were not for the city council and the actions that we took in the past with balancing our budget and getting our debt under control, none of the growth, none of the good news that we've got to share today would be possible. When I became mayor in 2018 and the newly elected council came into office, we were told, surprisingly, that our variable debt, the amount of money that we owed, 65% of it was on variable rates, meaning just like credit card debt, when the rates go up, our bills went up. And it was an incredibly precarious time, because unless you know what your bills are going to be, it's really hard to make a budget. And I'm so thankful that from that day to this, we have flipped that around, and 95% of our debt is now fixed, most of it below 2.3%. So we're able to balance our budget. Mike, the banker, is nodding his head. He knows exactly what this means. And it was, we couldn't even do 2.3 today. So I'm very grateful that we were able to lock in at those rates. And I'm often reminded when I speak, and my friend Dr. John Stanberry is around, I talk about these dollars and these taxes, and he's always quick to remind me that those are the dollars that you all have sent to the city, your homes, your businesses, your purchasing in the city of Cleveland. So all of that is your money that we have been made good stewards of, and I'm very grateful that this puts us in a really strong position to go forward. Some of the most important things that we can invest in is your safety. I talked about the 911 board when I got up. We have in the Cleveland Police Department, we are in the top 3% with our CALIA accreditation, and it's incredibly important to know that because of the financial stability of the city, this year alone we were able to add 11 new police officers. which brings us to a total of 122. Our top 3% of fire departments, Cleveland Fire Department with an ISO rating of number 2. I see some insurance folks in the room. That ISO rating keeps our home insurance cost down. The lower that number, the lower the cost is for all of us every month, or if you put that, attach it to your mortgage. And we were able to hire 8 new firefighters. There's the newest graduating class right there. I was honored to speak at their graduation recently, and that takes us to 105 new total firefighters, with an addition of the 120 police officers. In addition to that, public safety, our financial investments in the city of CPD license plate readers. Now, we had some of those installed at our state and federal entryways. These are being paid for by grants from both state and federal agencies. So if you think about it, exit 20, we all really call that APD 40, that's a federal highway. Exit 25, we call it 25th Street, but the state refers to that as Georgetown Highway. And exit 27, Paul Huff Parkway, that is also a state and federal interchange. And so all of those cameras are being installed and paid for with our help from our other government agencies. And what that means is if a car pulls off on any of our exits, and those silver alerts that wake us up, those amber alerts that we get on our phones, or if a person has an outstanding warrant and shouldn't be in Cleveland, Tennessee, thankfully the 911 center is notified immediately upon that car entering our jurisdiction. We've also been able to add a tremendous number of cameras on the Greenway. We'll talk about that. And the purchase of a new fire truck. I'll tell a quick story. Fire trucks, if you ordered one today, it takes 2 years to get your fire truck. I think school buses are about the same. And even more interesting, the fire truck that we just got delivered, which is our first mid-mount platform, it has a 100-foot ladder. It is state-of-the-art. I'm so thankful that the city council invested in this equipment. But the day we picked it up, the manufacturer said, I can resell this truck for a $500,000 profit because so many people want one of these. Are you interested? And we, of course, quickly said no. Other infrastructure program improvements, we are in year 2 of our Build Cleveland Future initiative. It's the largest single infrastructure improvement plan in the history of Cleveland. It's just over $138 million, and we are in year 2 of 3. You've seen it all over town. This is the very victorious day that we reopened Inman Street. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but Inman was closed for a couple of months, and we knew it was going to be great. We just had to ask for patience from our city friends and partners downtown, but it really is a spectacular new improvement to downtown. For the first time in 70 years, there are 10-foot sidewalks and fully walkable. Other improvements included, and we were thrilled by our friends at the banner. It ranked number 1 in all the stories, was the improvement of Inman. But you can see here some of the new walkability and the walkable sidewalks with the medians down the middle, trees and plants being planted all around, and we were very, very thankful. I think the most important thing to say about this $138 million is we were able to do all of it with no tax increase to you all. So I'm very, very grateful that, again, to that very first slide, getting our financial house in order, allowing us to go through and improve all over town. So much industrial improvement over the last year. In fact, 2 years, Cleveland was number 8 out of 160 of the cities of our size. We're in the tier 3, the Memphises and the Knoxvilles and the Nashvilles are above us. But in our size metros, we were number 8. We were the 3rd best city to move to in Tennessee, and we were number 1. Now, they didn't tell us this until 2024, but in 2023, more jobs, more manufacturing, more industry was recruited to the Bradley County area than any other of the 93 counties in the state of Tennessee. And I'm so grateful. Our friends and partners at the Chamber of Commerce worked so hard. In fact, on my way to this meeting today, we just got a call about the new ribbon cutting and opening of the new Amero Industries, which is an Australian company, just like Cannon Automotive at Spring Branch Industrial Park. From Canada, we now have Amero Industries. They make I'm looking at Joe. Silicone titanium, which is a product I'm not even aware, but you have to have it in aerospace and weapon industry. And it's a brand new industry that's never been in Bradley County before. We have a lifetime of 150 years of stove making and other appliance making. Now we are going to enter into the first time the aerospace industry, and I'm thrilled to be able to welcome that next month into Bradley County. Another great improvement is our parks system. These same companies, SK Foods at the Spring Branch, back in the day, Vacher, Amazon, our new Amero, the new Canon Automotive, all of these multinational companies all told us the one thing that set Cleveland apart from the other cities they were looking at was our quality of life. The greenway system, the parks, things that give their employees something to look forward to. Why do I want to move to Cleveland, Tennessee? So the quality of life and the investment the city has made in quality of life is truly making a difference and is part of the recruitment process that the Chamber talks about. Among the new parks, we have the Jim Sharp Park that's being constructed right now. My very good friend Jim Sharp, who is a mentor to me. The park is being named in his honor. The donor of the land, or the seller is how it began, Ron and Pam Barker, a local developer in town, was going to sell us that property on Candy's Lane, but when he found out that it was going to be named in honor of Jim Sharp, he turned around and zeroed out the contract and gave it fully to the city of Cleveland at no charge. No stranger to any of us, the new Civitan inclusive park, totally handicap accessible from start to finish, and it's just an incredible improvement. And then the Tinsley Park, I know Chuck Evans knows all about the pickleball courts out there, but we've got 18 new pickleball courts, and there's a new structure being built. I've gotten all sorts of Church of God jokes. Is that a church? Is that a cathedral? No, it's not an outdoor cathedral. It's a championship pickleball court, because before my time, I came to Cleveland in the 80s, but apparently in the 70s, we were the softball tournament capital of Tennessee. And softball tournaments of up to 100 teams came from all over, and everybody had a team, Whirlpool and M&M and all the churches. We're hoping, and we are told by the Pickleball Association, 22 to 24 courts is the magic number for these statewide tournaments, and hundreds of players and thousands of dollars will come to our city every time we have one of these tournaments. So that big structure that you see at Tinsley is the championship court. It is covered, it is lighted, and it has stadium seating inside for the championship rounds. So I'm looking forward to and going to challenge Chuck to a game of pickleball when we get that thing built, and I'm looking forward to it. Of course, the jewel of downtown, if you've not seen it lit up during the Christmas season, the newly reimagined Johnston Park. I got a text this morning from a representative of the Johnston family. We were thanking them because you can see the gazebo there. Their foundation helped us renovate that gazebo. And the text this morning was that the Johnston family came multiple visits during the holidays, both day and night, and were so pleased with the outcome. It is their park. They donated it to the city decades ago as a passive park. And so that means you can't do anything there that's not passive. So the removal of the bandstand and the removal of some of the other things fit right in with what it was originally deeded to the city to do. The gazebo, however, had been renovated in the 90s and had that early Home Depot look with that vinyl siding on the side of it. And our architects actually found the original gazebo blueprints that you see here and took it back to the original architectural design, the original materials. Everything is just like it was when it was first built in the 1930s, and I'm so thankful that it looks so great and is such a wonderful addition to downtown. If you've not seen it, please stop by. The development continues both residential and commercial. It's wonderful to have a city where so many people are looking forward to moving to our city and becoming a part of the investment in our city. 595 new construction permits. That's a record number of permits. It was 483 residential and 112 commercial. And it never ceases to amaze me The newest hotel that you see here, that is the Hilton Home True product at exit 27. There's the new Weigel's gas station there at Highway 60. And totaling all of the residential and commercial property permits that were pulled and paid for was $212 million of new investment in the city limits of Cleveland, Tennessee. And again, what an incredible opportunity for me to be serving as your mayor in a city that is doing so well and has been doing so well for so long. Another one of my favorite updates to downtown was the Back Alley Art Gallery, totally refreshed with Main Street and grant dollars. We have now become Bee City, USA. For 31 years, we've been a tree city. How do trees grow? They have to be pollinated. So we have now filled out the paperwork and become Bee City, USA. And I'm very, very excited. The pollinators are loving it. I didn't realize it. We've got a beekeeping community in Cleveland, Tennessee, and they all wanted a copy of that sign that you see. And I'm very, very grateful and think very highly of that group. Another upcycled street banners. There's one for Billy Nipper. You can't have grown up in this town like I did and not know about the Billy Nipper Art Festival, and it was a wonderful tribute. Those are all around the First Street Square, which is another wonderful, wonderful addition to our downtown. So many more announcements for my friends who are formerly softball tournaments, upcoming pickleball tournaments. Sports tourism is an amazingly financially successful area that we have not tapped into in a very long time. So I'm grateful that we partnered with the county, we partnered with the chamber, and the sports tourism facility feasibility study is well underway, and the outcomes we're expecting in the next few months. One of the last things that I did as a member of the legislature was add Cleveland to the Land Bank Authority. We are one of only 4 cities in the state of Tennessee that have Land Bank Authority. Mike and his bank understands what this means. It allows the city of Cleveland to have a land bank and take over blighted and abandoned properties, and gives us a wonderful new tool in our toolbox, especially in the downtown historic areas where homes have been abandoned. It's an amazing. We found Joe, and I'll get the denomination wrong. Possibly an AME church, but it basically had been abandoned over in the College Hill neighborhood. Literally everyone who served on the church council and whose names were listed on the deed was deceased. And so it was a many months trying to find legally how to get this church, and has now been resold and rehabilitated, and is a wonderful, back on the tax rolls, new addition to that area. The former Whirlpool property, it is now owned by a holding company called Phoenix Corporation, and it is now under contract. We're so grateful that we've gotten to the point where we can begin talking to developers, and the plans that they're sending us look amazing. The historic redevelopment grant, we were given $500,000 by the state of Tennessee because of the historic nature of our Cherokee Hotel, the Summit. We additionally applied for and were awarded historic tax credits from the federal government. So it is wonderful to be able to partner with these agencies and redo what is a very special building, very special to the Cartwright family. And we are looking forward to getting that open and getting in there and reopening the community rooms. We're hoping to have a restaurant back in the Cherokee and have that called the City Center. I'm not a big fan of City Hall because that's got a bad connotation. Got to go to City Hall. So I'm looking forward to calling it the City Center and having it one-stop shopping. If you need to pull a permit, if you need to pay your taxes, if you need to come by and see a member of the mayor's office or city council, or have an event in the community room, you can come to the City Center and take care of business. And then the Greenway cameras, the Aware system, and Joe, I'll get this number wrong, 68 cameras total? Sure.
I think it's 61.
61. I added 7. There are 60 plus cameras on the Cleveland City Greenway corridor. That is the one comment we love to hear. We love feedback from our citizens. That's basically how we know we're doing our jobs or not. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, I like to say. And we got feedback that we are concerned about the Greenway, or we don't like parts of the Greenway that are dark. So we have now 60-plus cameras all along the Greenway and more coming, also around the museum, also around Johnston Park. So all of these cameras are in the Aware Center, which is in the police department. It is being monitored 24 hours a day and can be directly contacted to 911. And I'm very, very grateful that our entire city is becoming more and more safe. I showed you a few minutes ago the Inman Street slide that showed how great the new Inman Street corridor looks right through here. And it's interesting how many times that appeared in print or on the internet, but no one talked about what I call Paul Harvey's page 2. Some of you don't know who Paul Harvey is. I'm sorry, Austin, but he used to say, page 2. And if you read page 2, you would hear the end of the story. Well, this is page 2. The 3rd Street project answers all of the concerns about people that thought we were slowing down Inman Street. You were making it too slow to go through downtown. When the 3rd Street project is completed, not if, but when, it will eliminate 10 stoplights along the Inman Street corridor and reduce it down to 3 stoplights to get through downtown. We have already been awarded a $30+ million planning grant by the federal government. We've already been awarded a $30+ million railroad elimination grant by the federal government to make sure that we eliminate. Has anybody heard about trucks that hit the Inman Street Bridge? Has anybody, for those of you that have not heard, I got signs, I got flashing lights, I don't know what to do. Don't go under the bridge. But people still try it. Does this have a clicker on it?
It's got a laser. I don't
Oh.
know if it'll show on the screen.
Oh, it doesn't show on the screen. I see it on the wall over there. You're right. So up here in the top is this. This is basically Starbucks. I'll come over here. Sorry, I know this is messing you up. This is the Starbucks area over here. And if you come through downtown and see this roundabout over here, where this green section is here in the middle, that is basically where the flyover bridge, our first flyover bridge in downtown Cleveland, which will take you from 3rd Street up and over the railroad tracks. Now there's an idea. And deposit you into what we're calling the Whirlpool Property Complex. And it will totally change truck traffic, getting through downtown traffic. And again, all of the concerns that were expressed about slowing down Inman Street, we called it the road diet. We were slowing it down, slimming it down. All of that is going to be answered when the 3rd Street corridor, 3rd Street project is completed. And I'm very, very excited about it. Looking forward into 2025, the 25th Street traffic improvements. I am so thankful that the state of Tennessee agrees with us that 25th Street needs to be redesigned, reimagined, cutting across. I don't do it very often, in case you're listening, Kim, trying to get to Dunkin' Donuts and cutting across the traffic. If you're going the other way, Smith Boulevard into McDonald's or the Bank of Cleveland, it is not safe. It is a very touch and go area. So the state of Tennessee is helping us by paying for and redesigning J-turns all along 25th Street. At the same time, we're also going to take out those rocks down the middle that look like Welcome to Phoenix instead of Welcome to Cleveland. So we're going to change that and green that back up, and I'm very, very excited about that. In addition to that, the Peerless Paul Huff intersection on the north side of town, and the Peerless 25th Street intersection. So literally in 2025, both ends of Peerless are going to be worked on and improved, and I can't wait for that. I don't think it's listed here, but a walkable sidewalk, just like the ones that we've installed downtown on Inman Street, we're going to improve and install along 25th Street. We all see people walking. Every one of us in this room have seen people walking up and down 25th Street. Yes, there are shoulders on the road, but it's not safe. So we think a beautiful 10-foot walkable sidewalk all the way from basically the Welcome to Cleveland sign all the way to Keith Street is really going to change 25th Street and connect it to the Greenway. Probably the most important sentence in this whole PowerPoint, the paving of Paul Huff Parkway. I get it. I live right off Paul Huff Parkway. Paul and I have coffee right off Paul Huff Parkway, and it needs to be fixed. How many people remember when Chattanooga Gas came and sliced right down the middle? We got that big scar down the middle. Dr. Lane knows all about just cut it right open. Thankfully, we put in that contract two very important things. You have to do the work at night because Paul Huff Parkway is really busy, and you have to pay for whatever damages you do. And so I'm very thankful that Chattanooga Gas wrote us a very generous check. In fact, with the check that we got from Chattanooga Gas and the amount of money that we're getting from the state of Tennessee, the $2 million cost to repave Paul Huff Parkway from Highway 60 to Stewart Road, $2 million. All of that is paid for with no taxpayer funding and no increase in taxes, and I can't wait. The last thing, Starbucks connector. If Cameron Fisher were here, he would tell you how excited he is about this Phase 6. This is basically from the Willow Street, the sort of the dead end where everybody just stops on the Greenway. It will connect it from Willow under Inman Street, and you'll come up at Starbucks, and to be continued. That is exactly the same area where the 3rd Street project starts, which we would hope to have a downtown Greenway from Starbucks all the way to the Whirlpool project. So it's really going to change the look and the flavor of downtown. A couple other things. You see the pickleball courts pictured here. That's the big structure you see up at the top left, the championship area. But very, very important improvements, the Michigan Avenue Minnis Road widening project. We have approved housing subdivisions at Minnis in Michigan. The county has approved developments out there. We definitely need to work together to get Michigan Avenue and Minnis area improved quickly. We've got Whirlpool Industry at one end of the street, and we've got the airport at the other end of the street, and a huge amount of residential in between. So that's a very important project for 2025. Jetport hangar, if you were a pilot and you had an airplane, you are right now waiting on a 2-year waiting list for a new hangar at the Cleveland Jetport. It's that popular. We literally can't build them fast enough, and we're looking forward to at least 10, possibly 20 new hangars. We've got 2 Army Corps of Engineers stormwater projects. One you've probably already seen, literally right across from Champy's, behind Texas Roadhouse, Logan's area. That's all a Army Corps of Engineer project, and really stretches all the way down the creek into Tinsley Park. The other one is over off Weeks in the Clearwater area. There's technically 2 more in 2026, but we'll talk about that next time if you invite me back and let me go in front of Gary. The downtown beautification project continues. We talked about the Summit, the Cherokee. We talked about Johnston Park. We want to continue that downtown beautification all across downtown. The improvement grant projects, Main Street had $500,000 worth of grants for facades. I know the Masonic Lodge and some other companies downtown, organizations, were able to really capitalize on this and make some great improvements. And then the new Greenway Nature Park, I mentioned Ron Barker and Jim Sharp earlier. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember the Rolling Hills Golf Course here or not. That's where I took my golf lessons when I was at Lee, and Coach Souther would say, "Please don't tell people I'm your teacher." Obviously, I didn't take it that seriously. But that lower 9 going towards Harrison Pike, Freewell Road area, that's going to become the new Greenway Nature Park. And if you think about where that is, and we're successful in enlarging our Greenway and connecting it from the new Jim Sharp Park to the Greenway Park, and then going east on 60, we could connect it to the Owen Farm and the Cleveland Middle School, and then the Cherokee, Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary. So if you think about all of these schools and all those neighborhoods connecting all to this new Greenway Nature Park, it's really going to be great. I mentioned earlier, Chuck, you have to give me a signal. I think my phone's over there. Am I all right? I mentioned earlier about we love to hear from our constituency and love to hear from you all and get feedback from you. Here's a new way that we're trying. Now, I know you do this all the time, Lydia, but this is new for me. It's the new Mayor's podcast called 5 Points with the Mayor. And I'm very thankful for Joe and Seth and the team. Now, they're always frustrated because I always talk about more than 5 things. I'm supposed to limit it to 5, but there's so much going on in Cleveland. It's hard for me to limit to 5 points, but that's the goal. And then we also have a new YouTube video series. Every member of the city council is going to be interviewed by Seth Sumner, and we're going to talk about what's going on. That's the Christmas edition with Vice Mayor Webb, our newly elected vice mayor. He's doing such a great job, and he's such a great representation of the city and helps me as mayor so much. But we love to hear from you. We love your feedback on these podcasts and these videos in this video series. And I think the next one is going to be with the new leadership of Bradley Medical Center, the Vitruvian Health Network, and hear what their plans are for growth and expansion. I think it's going to be a great episode. I began by saying thank you, and I will end by saying thank you. It is the greatest honor to stand up here. I see Coach David Altop and his beautiful wife, who educated both my children, Phyllis, and I think about Eddie and Miltine and the influence that they have on me in my life. I mentioned Jim Sharp and the incredible mentoring. Dr. Lane, who saved our dog. I mean, I look around this room and I think Mike Thomason, who's given me God only knows how many loans. I think David Chafin, who's the president of everything I'm a member of. And I think, how in the world am I lucky enough to stand up here and be called mayor? It's because of you. And it's such an honor, and it's such an incredible opportunity. I'm very blessed to have served 6 terms in Nashville, and I'm very blessed to be friends with almost everybody that's still there. And they all have the same question. What's going on in Cleveland? How in the world did Cleveland, Tennessee get rated number 1 in the state of Tennessee? We beat Nashville, we beat Memphis, we beat Knoxville, we beat Clarksville, we beat everybody. And I have to say, first of all, I'm not ashamed of my faith. I say, well, God's blessed us. And then they say, you're so fortunate. You don't realize how fortunate you are, Mayor Brooks, to be the mayor of such an incredible growing town. It's because of all of you. It's because of your investment in me. It's because of your investment in your city and our schools and our financial institutions and our churches. It's your investment that makes Cleveland the greatest city in the state of Tennessee. I'm so thankful that you invited me to be here today. I'm so sorry Gary had to go first. God bless you, and God bless the city of Cleveland. Thank you. Happy to answer questions. I'm happy to answer any questions, except from Coach Altop. I'm scared of him. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, but I would have a comment I'd like you to share with the appropriate people.
Yes.
I was extremely impressed on how quickly the roads were cleared this last time with the snow and ice.
Thank you.
They did a wonderful job.
Thank you. For those that online that might not have heard that, she's the queen of Sack Pack program, and she was thanking us for the clearing of the streets. We really, really did get so many positive comments. Tommy Myers, who we just honored, by the way, for 40 years of service to the city of Cleveland. Tommy does a great job. His team, Joe, I'll get these numbers wrong, but it was hundreds of tons of salt. 600 tons of salt. In addition to the scraping, we've got, thankfully, again, because the financial house was in order, we were able to purchase new snowplows, new equipment. It really worked well, but there were some teams that were working 16, 18, 24, 48 hours. They were constantly in rotation because you remember it was middle of the day before the snow started and very late in the day before the snow ended, and so they were playing catch up with different shifts. But I will definitely tell them, thank you for saying that. I saw another hand over here, so it's like church, I see a hand.
I have a question.
Yes.
Has there been any discussion on Hardwick Farm? What's going to happen?
It's a great question. The question was, has there been any discussion on Hardwick Farms? Fun fact, I'm the city mayor and not 1 inch of the farm is in the city. It's a county project. We would all the restaurants and the tire shops, those have been annexed into the city, but at the wishes of the family for a generation, that is still county property. I have heard that there are talks. I have heard that there are people very, very interested. And as soon as I know, as soon as I can talk about it, I will absolutely announce it. I'm their next door neighbor. Paul's brother and I are their next door neighbor. So I'm very interested as well. It's a great question. Yes, sir.
In
Carl?
the new subdivisions, I noticed that the mailboxes are at the entrance.
That's correct.
That's probably a postal
That-
decision.
That is a federal level decision of grouped post office boxes. I have a theory, but that's not for today's topic. That's a political discussion. But I have a theory of why they chose to do that, and I think it's awful.
Well, it doesn't take into consideration handicap.
Correct. There are many things it doesn't take into consideration to, most importantly, aesthetics. I think it looks terrible. But that is a federal level decision that was passed down to us. When I was in Nashville for 12 years, we called it unfunded mandates or things that we just passed down to the local level. And they've got to be careful. I think it was a very not well thought out decision. And it's more than just handicap that it doesn't take into consideration. And I welcome that comment. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Coach.
Building down there by the museum, it's a rescue building.
Right.
You're building a new one for the county, right?
That is correct.
Is that going to be parking or?
No, we've actually had developing companies that are asking for that to be rehabilitated, just like the old Moore building and some of the other buildings downtown. I think you're going to see a great sort of renaissance revival of that entire area, and I'm very, very excited about it. Yeah, that was the deal. If we bought their building, we had to build them a new one, and Joe reluctantly agreed.
Joe and I talked before about sports tourism, how big.
Yeah.
The place, you told me you came from North Carolina, how big it was.
It's huge.
And we had that tournament at Christmas, had 2 teams from Florida, 1 from Alabama. One of the Florida teams had been here before.
Right.
But Christmas holiday basketball tournament, they couldn't believe how much Cleveland had grown that time.
I was at
Sports tourism can generate a lot of money, Joe.
I was at a few.
We actually, the study that the mayor talked about, and what Charlie's talking about, is we got the first draft, and if we had a facility like that, we'd bring $20 million a year to Cleveland.
It's a big number. I was at a funeral on Monday. Sadly, a friend of mine passed, and someone flew in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they said, I landed and came to Cleveland, and it didn't look like the same Cleveland. I stayed at the courtyard, and the courtyard wasn't even here the last time I was here, and he was commented about the incredible growth, and I said, thank you, God has blessed us. It's usually my standard answer. All right. I'm so grateful that you all were here and very patient and kind and listened to my speech. I'm incredibly grateful to the city staff for putting this together and the city council for their support and their voting. If they had not voted to make these changes, as difficult as they were at the time, none of this would be possible. Special thank you to Milton Cartwright for being here today, my special guest, and I look forward to seeing you all first next year.
All right.
Great stuff happening. That's great. I'm tickled to see the advancements. Everything looks great. Johnson Park is gorgeous. It is. It's just beautiful. Alan Jones called me Monday and said, be sure to tell the club that I started that with Tom Rowland back in the day. He and I and Lou Patton joined Kiwanis on the same day in 1974. And I can remember walking out of Merchants Bank, walking down to Lyman to have a spot burger, and passing WCLE and seeing Tom sitting in the window. Long time ago. I'm not that old. Thanks a lot. We are